Sri Sri Anandamayi Mat ki Jai. One day I distinctly got the command, from today you are not to bow down to anybody. I asked my invisible monitor, who are you? The reply came, your Shakti. I thought that there was a distinct Shakti residing in me and guiding me by issuing commands from time to time. Since all this happened at the stage of Sadhna, Gyan, knowledge was being revealed in a piecemeal fashion. The integral knowledge which this body was possessed of from the very beginning was broken, as it were, into parts, and there was something like a superimposition of ignorance. At that time, I was Moni, observing silence. This was also due to particular commands. The father of this body came to see me at that time. I could not make obeisance to him. Not that I refrained from doing it intentionally, but this body refused to do anything contrary to the commands it received from time to time. When the father of this body saw that I was not doing my duty by him, he took it to heart. But as I was Moni at that time, I could not explain the situation to him. He came to regard me with suspicion. He argued that if my various moods and experiences had a spiritual origin, there was no reason why I should be disrespectful to those to whom respect was due. This led him to consult different persons regarding my condition. In the meantime, Shivaratri came. On such occasions, it was customary with the father of this body to sit up the whole night and worship the god Shiva. Corresponding to the 4 quarters of the night, he used to perform puja 4 times. Each puja was meant for the well-being of a particular individual. This time also he proceeded as usual with the puja, and I sat up with him to make arrangements for it. When after finishing puja 3 times during the first 3 quarters of the night, he proceeded to perform the puja for the 4th quarter for the benefit of this body. A curious thing happened. He found that as he was proceeding with the worship, this body was uttering aloud all the relevant mantras and prayers quite automatically. This surprised him very much. Though he said nothing, he could not help looking at me from time to time. However, to proceed with the account of my sadhana, after some time I again heard the voice within myself which told me, whom do you want to make obeisance to? You are everything. At once I realized that the universe was all my own manifestation. Partial knowledge then gave place to the integral, and I found myself face to face with the one that appears as many. It was then that I understood why I had been forbidden for so long to bow down to anybody. Question: how long was the period intervening between these 2 stages? Mataji: quite long, but in the meantime, various vibhutis were being manifested through this body. These manifestations have again occurred in various ways. Sometimes they have been manifested in ignorance. Example, I found that as soon as I had touched a particular patient, he recovered in no time. But I did not know beforehand that he would be cured in that way. Sometimes the manifestation occurred with knowledge mixed up with ignorance. Example, on seeing a patient, I used to argue in this way. I know from my past experience that my touch has a healing effect. If I touch this patient, he may also get well. To verify this, I touched him and found that he was cured immediately. Then again, manifestations of Vibhuti have taken place with full knowledge and consciousness on my part. Thus, I knew for certain that I could cure a disease by a mere touch, and I touched in full confidence of success. Jiten Babu, in what other ways have your Vibhutis been manifested, and how do they manifest themselves now? Mataji, Vibhutis have become a part and parcel of Swabhav. Jiten Babu, I do not quite follow you. Mataji, Vibhuti becoming a part of Swabhav means that everything is now regulated by Swabhav or the Supreme Self. Here there is no scope for the play of a limited self. This was so with this body from its very infancy. Such disclosures are not always made by this body. Since they are coming spontaneously now, I give them out. Let me tell you that what I am, I have been from my infancy. But when the different stages of sadhana were being manifested through this body, there was something like superimposition of agyan, ignorance. But what sort of agyan was that? It was really gyan masquerading as agyan. Let me tell you a story relating to my childhood. In childhood, when this body was at Vidyakut, a woman became pregnant and her child was born when I was still there. I knew from the beginning that the child was not to live long. He came only to complete his cycle of births and deaths. However, the child became 1 year old. He was not very nice to look at. His complexion was jet black, but his body was very soft. That is why he was always seen in the arms of others, who all wanted to have the luxury of the touch. And the child was all smiles. When he was over a year and a few months old, his span of life came to an end, and he became seriously ill. I went to see him on the day he was to die. On my way, I took with me a hibiscus flower, but rubbed it so that the people might not know what I had in my hand. I left the flower under the child's pillow. Those who were present there thought that I had left some nirmalya, seeing that the child was near his end. I did all this under the urge of Swabhav. At the stage of sadhana, Vibhuti first manifests itself as joy, which comes from the recitation of God's name. When people experience this, they think that they have got everything that sadhana can yield, and their upward progress is thereby arrested. But he who keeps himself always on the move without being overwhelmed by such manifestations of joy finds himself in possession of various miraculous powers. But those powers are not meant for display. They should be carefully kept under control. He alone can know his true self, who keeps alive within him an insatiable thirst for the divine without being contented with the possessions of supernormal powers, powers which enable him to cure any disease by a mere touch of the hand, or which lead to the instantaneous fulfillment of all his desires. Sri Sri Anandamayi Mat Ki Jai.